SPMP サイドストーリーくんねちぷ。
Previous overview. They took a detour to avoid the bear, but made it back to the riverbed safely. Beyond that, they found an artificial wooden structure, where they rested their tired bodies and slept. When I woke up the next morning, they were still asleep, and when I turned my attention to the campfire, it was already extinguished, but when I held up my palm, I felt a slight warmth. So I looked inside the charcoal with a tree branch, and there was a little red charcoal left, so I put a dead leaf on it and blew on it. Then, after a gray smoke, the dead leaves caught fire. Good. This will keep everyone warm. It was so cold in the mountains that I shivered, and the warmth of the fire and the sun was so ingrained in me that I felt that it was a great blessing for us. When the fire was getting bigger, I went to the river to fetch water and started preparing the meal. They woke up in the middle of preparation, but they were also cold, so they quickly warmed themselves around the fire. They were a little surprised that the fire was still there, but they seemed happy to be able to warm themselves up quickly. After we finished our meal, we put our bags on our backs and started walking along the mountain road. Then, as we continued along the mountain road for a while, we saw a large mountain with a bare rock surface from between the mountains. Speaking of which, I once heard a rumor that there was a big mountain in the distance where God lived. I told Momu and Shalati about the mountain, and they knew about it, but they were surprised because it was the first time they had seen the actual mountain. The mountain was very large, and the bare rock surface felt mysterious. But there is nothing on the mountain, and it feels like the mountain itself is God, not the God lives there. If the mountain is God, we must pray that we will cross the mountain it safely. When I got down on my knees and started praying towards the mountain, Momu and Shalati also got down on their knees and prayed with me. I wonder if my sister was also looking at that mountain. After we finished praying, we looked at the mountains in the distance and started to climb the mountain road again. The mountain road narrowed to the point where I could barely make out the existence of the road, so the river was an important landmark. The landmark river was gradually getting thinner, and I was a little worried about the situation. There is another element of anxiety, and that is that I can't predict the weather like my sister. The weather in the mountains is particularly changeable, so if we don't know how the weather changes, it will be even more difficult for us to cross the mountains. My sister could have prepared for it in advance, but I can't. I've heard a lot from my sister, and I'm conscious of being careful about black clouds, but it's very difficult to avoid the rain because black clouds move quickly. For now, keep an eye on the movement of the clouds. Crossing the mountains has just begun. It's not good to think too much, let's do what we can now, one thing at a time. After the sun came up, the clouds cleared beautifully, so it looks like we can make a lot of progress today. Also, after the vegetation around us was shortened, we could see the path clearly, and there were trees to cross the river, so we were able to move forward quite quickly. By the way, when I saw the various efforts put in by my predecessors before I came here, I understood the meaning of the words that the people of Odanupukodan were saying. It was encouraging to think that there were actually more people using this road than I thought, and that this road might continue until it crossed the mountain. I wonder if other people felt the same way as I did when they crossed the mountain. When I turned around and looked at God's mountain, I could still see a little bit of its top, so I got down on my knees again and thanked God. The road from here went smoothly, and we were helped by the wooden framework that was built here and there to protect us from the rain. It was there that we rested and moved forward without hesitation. And when the night had passed 6 times, and the sun had risen directly above, the sea could be seen in the distance from the top of a small mountain. Happy, I could see the sea. Today's story ends. The continuation of the story will be updated tomorrow. Please look forward to. If you like, please subscribe to the channel.